A warm welcome to the STAR campus. My name is Christiane Hoffmann and I work in the support and training team at STAR Language Technologies and Solutions. The company is part of the STAR Group, which has its headquarters in Ramsen in Switzerland. The topic for today's webinar is as follows. Terminology is the foundation for saying the right thing with the right words in the source language and in all target languages. To ensure this, terminology is regularly maintained as part of quality assurance and kept up to date. It helps immensely to take dictionary content from different perspectives and place it under the microscope to review, check, and modify it. In TermStar, there are extensive filtering criteria that you can use and combine for your specific requirements. During this webinar, you will learn about which filters TermStar supports and how they can be implemented. Please note that this webinar is aimed at advanced users of TermStar. If you are only a beginner, please keep watching. You may still find out some interesting new features. The aim of this webinar is to show what is possible within TermStar with regards to searching and filtering. At the end of the presentation, you will have the chance to ask questions in the chat window. Thank you for your interest. Here is the agenda. We are talking about the dialog search terms, about standard filters, and about the data record filter dialog, where you can define user-defined filters. Before we begin our terminology webinar, I would like to take a moment to clarify the terminology that we use. Okay. A terminological entry contains all information about a concept, both in monolingual as well as in multilingual data. So this is from the Deutscher Terminologietag, the definition. Okay, so this means that standard terminology science talks about an entry when we in TermStar talk about a data record or a concept. Okay, so in terminology science, we have the concept level, the language level, and the term level. Okay, the wording in TermStar is header, language, and language entry. So here you see that we have like homonyms, entry, and entry. I will try to stick to the terminology science wording. Okay, so when I talk about a language entry in TermStar, it's the term level that I'm talking about, if ever I forget. Okay, so let's also remember the three levels. We have fields on the concept level, on the language level, and on the term level. And for all of these fields, of course, we can define searches or filter criteria. One more remark, we have system fields when a data record was created or changed and by whom. Okay, and the times and user stamp fields, these system fields, they are also combined to create a virtual field to facilitate searches. So we have like a created changed by field. If you change in this virtual field, you change at the same time in created on and created by and last changed by and so on. Okay. One more thing to remember is that in the TermStar data model, we have sub-entry types like abbreviation, alternative, and disallowed term. Okay, so on the term level, we in TermStar also have a subterm level, which is not in the standard data model. All term fields of entries and sub-entries are indexed. Indexed fields are fields which TermStar Next uses to display and sort entries and sub-entries. It is important to note that the search and filter functions are always based on the source language. We will find out about an exception to this rule later on. This is the option only display languages that match the criteria for all languages. That we always search in the source language also means that you always will not be able to find a concept if there is no term entered for it in the current source language. There's also an exception to this. The hash operator displays all data records even if there is no source or target language. We will look at both of these exceptions later on. When it comes to looking for entries in a TermStar dictionary, all we need to do is imagine a normal printed dictionary. By pressing on the index buttons, we can go straight to the beginning of the section for that letter in the alphabetical list. Please note that you can also adjust the index buttons to suit your needs. You can find more information about this in the reference guide. Now we can turn our attention to the search dialog and the operators that can be used in the dialog. You can simply start typing to open the search dialog. You can use this functionality to take you directly to a specific point in the dictionary. By typing AN, you will go straight to the top of the list of words that start with AN. In the same way, you can type ANO. Okay. If the sequence of characters that you are searching for does not exist in the dictionary, you are taken to the next closest point in the alphabet. Let's have a look at ANS. Okay, there is no word beginning with ANS, so we see antenna as the next word term in the alphabet. In the status bar, and at the bottom of the application window, we can see whether a search or a filter is currently active. In addition, you can work with simple wildcards. When we work with wildcards, TermStar functions a little differently. The search function no longer looks at all of the source material, but instead works like a filter. Only those terms which correspond to the filter are displayed. If the number of hits is very high, you may not even notice the difference. So here we use a wildcard operator, which is the asterisk. The asterisk means any number of characters may be at this position, may appear in this position. So using this search, we will find all of the terms that start with heat. We are not taken to a particular position within the dictionary, but rather we see a filtered list of terms. The number of hits is very high. We can only tell that we are looking at a filtered view by the fact that we cannot scroll up and down to other entries. So if I try to use the arrow up key, it doesn't bring me anywhere. Heat here in my filtered result is the first data record that is shown. To cancel this filtered search, we can simply click on another index button or search again without using an operator. Okay, I just click on B. And now I can go up again. Let's search for heat again. Heat with wildcard again. Using the statistics, we can count exactly how many hits there are. We have to make sure that the option only filter data records is active and that the report is based on data records. At the bottom, we find the total result. It's 83 data records that we have in our filtered result here. In general, it is possible to calculate the number of filtered search results for any filtered search that you do. Now let's have a look at another search. If we now search for asterisk heat asterisk, what result should we expect? You are right in thinking that it must be at least 83 data records. It is impossible for there to be fewer than this. This is because we will also see the hits where the string heat appears anywhere within the term, not only at the beginning, as in our previous search. So let's see. And right away, you see the difference. We have like accumulated heat or annual heat demand, where heat appears in the middle and in the end at the term. It is now even more clear to see that the hits we have are only the filtered entries. What is the number of hits now? Let's ask the statistics again. We keep the options and update. And the result is 139 because we have heat anywhere in the term in our filtered result. We can now use entries containing foot and feet as an example of the question mark wildcard. Both of the vowels can be replaced with a question mark, and the string can appear anywhere in the term. Okay, so you may guess already what a question mark means. It stands for any one character, for only one character. Asterisk replaces many characters. Question mark is exactly one character. Okay, so let's start with this search without the asterisk, only the question marks first. Okay, so we get one data record only, and we only have foot. There's no feet. The plural is not found. Okay, now we extend the search with the asterisk at the beginning and at the end, meaning foot or feet anywhere in the term. Let's check it. Okay, and we get more results, but the problem is we also get results that we do not want. Like, look at the first one, it's filters. It's F-I-L-T, which matches our search expression. So here we've come to the end of what we can do with this wildcard search. We can return to this question later when we look at filtering with regular expressions. Another example for using the wildcard in place of a character, the question mark, would be to find out whether the term modernization is using the British or the American spelling. Okay, so here in British English I have an S, in American English a Z, so I use the wildcard, and let's see what spelling is used in the dictionary. Okay, this is wonderful. We have modernization with S as a disallowed term being a sub-entry of modernization with a Z. Okay, so we have two hits on the left-hand side because we have two terms here in the source language from the same data record. We are talking about data record number 1436 here, both times it's the same data record. Okay. When using the search dialog, it is important to note that the asterisk operator must be used if the string you are looking for appears in the middle or at the end of a term. Here's an example of how to find a string at the end of the term. Okay, so let's look for terms that end with way valve. Okay, so we have three-way valve and four-way valve. Okay. If you are unsure of the term you're looking for or how it is written, you will only be able to find it if you happen to be very close to it alphabetically. So, if you ever think to yourself, that's not right, this term has to exist, you should try working with a fuzzy search. Just like with translation memory, the TermStar fuzzy search calculates the similarity between terms, with the standard setting being 70% similarity. Let's look at an example. We are looking for the term electrical fan heater and search. Okay, the first term we find is electrical heating rod. No electrical fan heater inside here. We do not find this term, but we think it should be there. So we check if we are not sure about the spelling. We check the search with a fuzzy search. Okay, so we use the percentage operator for the fuzzy search. Again, we get a filtered result now because we use an operator. And here are all the terms that have a 70% similarity to electrical fan heater. Okay, so the first term already tells us what was wrong with our search. It's electric fan heater. The term is electric fan heater and not electrical. Okay, so we can do a similar search to illustrate the fuzzy search a little bit more with floor standing boiler. Floor standing boiler. This should be in the dictionary, but we don't find it. Okay, let's check it out with a fuzzy search. Okay, now we find floor standing boiler, and we know why we didn't find it before, because the spelling is a little bit different. There is a hyphen between floor and standing. And this hyphenation we wouldn't necessarily have realized before. Okay, so terminologists can make good use of this fuzzy search function to standardize the spelling used. We have an example here. If you have electro-hydraulic soft top in the dictionary, you look for electro-hydraulic soft top without the hyphen. In the adjective, the spelling a little bit different, you don't find the term. And if you look at it with a fuzzy operator, of course you find the term as we saw before. So this is a good way for terminologists to standardize the spelling in the dictionary. Let's turn to another operator. First of all, we switch off the filter again. The hash operator is especially useful if you are interested in systematically maintaining or examining certain sections of the dictionary. It displays all data records in ascending order based on the data record number. This operator is the only one which allows you to see all data records even if the source language has not been filled in. This is the first exception I was talking about in the beginning. So let's use the hash operator and start with data record number 200. Okay, so we see on the left-hand side that the data records now are sorted in ascending order according to the data record number. What is interesting as well is that for data record number 201, there is no source language. This data record only contains German. Okay. Nevertheless, with this hash operator search, it is shown in the result. We can even investigate this idea a little further and set a different language as the target language, for example, Greek. We have to execute the search again. the hash operator search. And here you can see that there is only the data record number shown on the left-hand side, because this data record does not contain neither English nor Greek, neither the source language nor the target language that we have chosen for display currently. Okay, let's lift off this search and talk about standard filters. There are 4 standard filters. Okay, they are found in View, Data Record Filter, Display. Okay, per default, all is displayed. And you can choose between 4 different standard data record filters. If target language exists, if target language does not exist, if input verification failed, and duplicates. Let's have a look at if target does not exist. If we want to add a language to the existing terminology because, let's say, we are due to handle a translation from English to Greek and we want to translate the terminology in advance, we can use this filter to calculate the effort involved. So we use if target does not exist. And these are all the data records where there is no Greek term. Now we can see all the data records that have no Greek term, but how many are there? There are 485 terms that need to have a Greek translation. This is rather a lot. We can also combine the filter with another, for example, to see how many words begin with an A in the source language English and need to be translated to Greek. So we use this operator, starting with a term starting with an A in English, and because we use the operator, we get a filtered search. Okay. So we have combined starting with A and target language exist, and of course we can quantify again how many hits we have. Okay, go to the bottom. It would be 45 entries that need to be translated into Greek if we are only looking at an English term starting with A. So using the filter if target does not exist as a basis, you can also calculate how much it will cost to add this terminology to the dictionary. Let's check out another filter. Okay, let's go back here. And here we would use next input verification failed. What is this? Okay, for users or for certain processes, it is often important that specific fields are filled in. To do this, we can define quality assurance rules in the dictionary settings. Let's recall where you do that and check our dictionary settings here. Okay, we go to the dictionary and go to settings. And here we have an input verification rule on the field header subject. Here we have a value list. This means you have to choose a subject from a value list, a pick list, and the option empty fields permitted is not ticked. This means you must choose a value for this field when you are editing the data record. Okay, these rules only apply to data records that are created after the rule has been defined. Older data records initially remain unaffected by the rule. However, as soon as you open a data record to edit it, the defined rules will come into play. In order to systematically work on older data records, you can use the filter input verification failed. Okay. You see that all of these data records that are displayed here do not have a subject. So if I try to edit this data record, so change anything, and then try to save it without editing the subject field, I will get a message that the field must not be empty. This means I cannot save the data record now without filling in the header subject field. Okay, so I don't save it for the moment. Okay, another important issue for dictionaries is that of duplicates. I don't need to spend a long time explaining why we don't want duplicates. They hinder dictionary maintenance and cause confusion to the users. Okay, let's set the target language back to German first. And the question would be, are there any duplicates in the dictionary starting with V? We combine the two searches. Okay, and here is the answer. Possible duplicates. We are always talking about possible duplicates, and the terminologist just has to examine if we have a duplicate here between the two data records, vapor that contain vapor barrier in English, or if we have just homonyms. We can use a dialog to help us compare the data records. Okay, this means we retain the first one that contains vapor barrier and compare it with the second one. Compare with retained data record. We get a compare data dialog. Okay, and we are not talking about this dialog right now. It would be part of another webinar, but here shortly we can already tell that in almost all other languages the terms are different for this concept. So maybe we do not have a duplicate in this case. It may only be by chance that in English we have homonyms. Okay, let's switch off this filter and talk about user-defined filters. Now we are going to use the filter dialog. The filter dialog can be found in View, Data Record Filter, Create. Okay, it contains 4 tabs: fields, entry types, number of entries. The first 3 are different ways to define a filter for different purposes. The 4th tab is the tab of filter administration, where you can load and save filters. You can carry out the same searches here as you can with the search dialog, with the exception of the fuzzy search and the data record number search using the hash. But we can do much more besides this. You can apply filters to all fields. Here you can choose the fields on where you want to apply a filter. And you can use regular expressions to formulate your search items. Using the filter dialog, you can combine even more filter criteria than we have seen so far. You can look for data records that have a specific entry structure, and you can search according to entry type. You can also save the filters so that you can use them again later. These saved filters can be used not only to display terminology, but also to export terms and to only include certain terms in dictionary packages. Let's say that we want to find all data records that contain the word valve. Okay, so we choose the entry field term and look for the filter field content valve and apply the filter. We always get a dialog here if we want to save it for a later use. I will always say no during this webinar, okay? So valve, okay, we get 2 hits per valve. Why only 2 hits? How can that be? That's right. We found the 2 data records where valve is used as a complete term. Let's think what we need to do. That's it. We need to use a wildcard to the left and right of the word. Okay, just as we did in the search dialog. We apply the filter and we get many more hits that contain the word valve. So the wildcard search is also available in the filter dialog. When searching with wildcards, we have already had a case where we have been able to use characters in the search that have a special meaning to that we can identify specific hits. So far, we have found out about 4 of these characters with a special meaning. The fuzzy search, the hash, the question mark, and the asterisk. With regular expressions, we have numerous of these special characters available. Today, we will only have time to familiarize ourselves with just a few of these for using in some simple cases. More detailed information about regular expressions can be found in the reference guide. So, using our first example with regular expressions, I will tell you an alternative way to look for valve as a word in a term, as a part of a term. Okay, so this would be, you can only search for valve if you check regular expression. Okay, and if we apply the filter, we get the same result as before. I will explain this to you a little bit more. So, if we have a placeholder search, we search for asterisk valve asterisk. Okay, and in the dialog we enter the field content asterisk valve asterisk, and we do not check regular expression. So here we know we have to use the asterisk, otherwise it's always the complete field that is searched for. Okay, but if we formulate the search in such a way that we just enter valve as a field content and we tick regular expression, we get the same result. Meaning, if we tick regular expression search, if we tick this option, always a substring is searched. Okay, the search that you execute is always a part. Search is always a part of the field. Okay. With regular expressions, we can search for content in a much more sophisticated way. Let's go back to our search example of foot and feet. We want to find terms in which foot or feet appear. With the wildcard search, we noticed that the question mark wildcard will give us too large a number of hits, since this character can represent any character in a wildcard search. Okay, so we can formulate a regular expression search for our question. On the field entry term, we say, please look for foot or feet. For this or, we need a special operator, which is the pipe sign. Okay, you can maybe hardly see. It's the pipe sign, which has a special meaning or. Okay, in the regular expression search. Okay, and now we apply the filter. And we see that we have two two data records matching now, but no data record containing feed. Previously, we have seen that the term nozzle also appears in the concept for valve, and we want to include this in the search. To do this, we can also use the OR operator. Okay, so we create another search for entry term, and we are looking for entries that contain valve or nozzle, because we want to find out about the meaning difference between the two of them. We tick regular expression and apply the filter. Okay, so we have here three-way mixing valve and still valve. And here we have an example for a nozzle, burner nozzle. Okay. Now we can limit the search to entries that have a definition to even understand better about the meaning of valve and nozzle and the difference in meaning especially. So we combine the filters on two fields. So we are looking for entries containing valve or nozzle, and we are looking for definitions containing anything. There must be a definition present. We only want to see data records that contain a definition. How do we tell TermStar to search in such a way? Okay, we use a regular expression. We use the full stop, meaning any character, any one character. Okay, of course, definitions contain more than one character, so we have to have another operator here, which is a plus. Okay, so this means the dot means that we want to search for any character, and the plus symbol that it must appear at least once, but may appear numerous times. Okay, so of course we have to tick the option regular expression here, otherwise it would look for full stops and pluses in the definition. Okay, so we are looking for data records with definition. And it is also important to note that if you are searching for more than one field, the search is designed to always find hits that fulfill all the search criteria. In simple terms, we mean it is designed to work as an AND combination. We are looking for this and this, okay, and apply the filter. Okay, now we see that all of the data records here have a definition. And we lost the only nozzle one we saw because it doesn't have a definition. Okay. The OR functionality is only possible when searching within a field using a regular expression, as we saw before when looking for foot or feet. Now we want to find out whether any of the entries do not have the status checked. Okay, so we filter for the entry field checked. For the entry field status. So as a field content, we enter checked and we invert it, meaning not checked, by using the option invert display hide matching terms. Okay, so we want to find out if there are any English terms that do not have the status checked. To do so, we define the search in such a way as you see now. Okay, we apply the filter. Okay, the first hit is actual value, but actual has the status checked. What happened? We have a sub-entry here, a synonym actual value that does not have the status checked, and this is why the result contains also this data record. you can see that the search is also looking at sub-entries. To limit the search, we can combine the currently active filter with a filter for entry type. Okay, so we deselect all and we only want to look for main entries. It does not interest us if there are sub-entries that do not have the status checked. We are only interested in the main entries. So we combine the filter for entry type main entry with entry status checked invert display. Okay, and apply the filter, and maybe we need a little patience. No, it's rather quick this time. Okay, it's just one hit. So this means that in English, the main terms, all of them have the status checked except for one. For the filters we will be looking at next, we have to be patient. TermStar will take some time to answer because several search criteria are combined. Okay, so we switch off this filter. And again, I'm interested in terms not having the status checked. Okay. But now we want to find out whether any of the entries across all languages do not have the status checked. As we have said before, we can only filter based on the source language. We also said that there was one exception, and this is it. To do this, we use the filter only display language entries that match the criteria all languages. Okay, this option. Okay. Now we can also decide whether we also want to search through sub-entries or not. Okay, we leave it like this. And we have to be patient. We apply the filter and see how much patience we need. And maybe, okay, yes, here we are. Okay. So again, we get the same hit only from the source language. Okay. So if we use the option, we have to know a little bit about how it works. We only get one hit because the criteria for the source text has not been met in most of the cases, meaning that the other data records, the other languages in the data record are not investigated further. To see whether there are hits in the other languages, we can use the hash operator. Okay, we keep this search active and we have to be patient again, and we use the hash operator. Okay, so we ask TermStar to search through all the languages, even if the source language does not meet the criteria. And again, we have to be patient. The advantage of using this combined search is that we don't have to go through and individually select each of the 31 languages as a source language to check, to find out if there are any languages that have the status not checked. Okay, here we have a result. Our patience is rewarded. Okay, so meaning in the data records, in our data records, English and German are fine. Okay, there are practically no data records where English or German do not have the status checked, but we have other languages, many other languages in other data records that do not have the status checked, or like in Chinese, even the status unchecked. Okay, so we can find out if this interpretation is correct. If we lift off the filter And we remember we have to go to data record number 5. This is data record number 5. And yes, we got a result. We received a result that made sense. English and German have the status checked. The other languages, here I think it's Croatian, also has the status checked. Danish also, but there are also languages that do not have the status checked. And these were the languages that we saw in our previous search. So, what is important also to note, the filter displays only those language entries which fulfill the criteria. We haven't seen English and German when we filtered. This is unlike all other filters. Parts of the data record in the detailed view on the right-hand side are hidden. Okay, there's one more thing you need to know. The hash operator cannot be saved with a filter. It can only be applied to a filter currently in use. Okay, another question. If you have decided that in each language there should only be one main term, you can use the filter criteria number of entries to find out which data records do not meet this standard. Okay, like here, if we skip through the data records, we see that for English, for German, for all languages, we always have one term. Okay, so let's see if in general this is the case, or if we have to work to do in some data records. So to do so, we go to sorry, that was the wrong one. We go to the tab number of entries and say 2 or more. Okay, we want to find out if there are data records where in the source language English we have more than one term. Okay, and we apply the filter. Okay, this is a wonderful dictionary. There's only one data record where we have 2 terms in English. Okay. As we have already seen, the filter criteria on the tab always functions as an end search if filter criteria are set on several tabs. Let's look at one more example. So we just lift off this search here. And are looking for terms that contain the word pipe. By now you know how to formulate such a search, I think. Okay, so here we have ABS pipe, absorber pipe, and so on. And we combine this filter criterion with another one, with the entry types. Okay, I want to find out the entries that contain pipe and that are disallowed terms. Okay, so I combine the 2 filter criteria, and on the left we see I only find out about disallowed terms containing pipe. If we would count the statistics, we would see that we have 82 data records containing pipe and 37 data records containing pipe as a disallowed term. Okay. Last but not least, we come to 2 filters which people always want to know about. The date. Before we look at searching by date, I should explain something. There are system fields created on and changed on that are automatically entered. In addition, there's a virtual system field created, changed on that might save us time in running 2 separate searches. Let's have a look here. to illustrate this. So, okay, we have created on, last change on, and we have created or changed on. Okay. A search in the virtual system field searches for created on and changed on at the same time. Furthermore, I should point out that the date is entered for the header as well as for the language entries and sub-entries. As an example, we might be keen to find out which equivalents were added for French within a certain time frame. So we can go and search directly in the timestamps for the French terms. But currently, we are focusing on the header timestamps, and we are asking which data records were changed within a certain period of time. We want to find out which data records have been amended since the 20th of September 2016. Okay, so we just add 20th of September 2016, and we apply the filter. Okay, so this is our result. Here we have the information that this first one was last changed on the 26th, and this one was last changed on the 20th, for example, this one on the 26th. Okay. You should note the following about this search. As we have seen already, searching by date in TermStar always means that the period of time in question is always considered to be the time frame from the entered date until now. The number of hits will be all data records that were changed within this period of time. Within this search, we find entries that were changed on the 20th and on the 26th. We can, of course, also combine this with another filters so that we are shown any data records in which the target language is missing. Okay, so we can say target language does not exist. And of course, we have only one hit. Okay. If we want to limit our search to changes made just on the 20th, we can proceed as follows. Okay. So we keep this header created or changed on the 20th, and we add another search expression, another filter criterion, created and changed on again, and say the 21st of September, and invert display. Okay, so we limit our time frame to an end. It's not going to now, but it's limited to the 21st. Okay, meaning that in the end we only get data records that were changed on the 20th. Let's just apply the filter, and you will see the result. Okay, yes, we only have one data record that was changed on the 20th. So we reduce the search to this very day. One last search that people are always interested in is the search for the user. Okay, so we create a search for whether a data record was created or changed by somebody. Okay. This is the user EWS, and we apply the filter. Okay, and we see all the data records created or changed by EWS. Of course, you can combine the user and the date filters into a complex filter. Okay, thank you. This is what I wanted to tell you. I hope you enjoy putting this into practice. Okay, so for more information, of course, you can download the user manuals available on our website, stargroup.net. And I would also like to inform you about our next webinars. Thank you for attending this webinar and have a nice day. Bye-bye.